on thing.
Yeah.
So today is June 26th. Hi, you guys. The conversation we were having just before we started the recording is about having a family member of some form come to give an independent opinion on a home when they are not someone who is a home inspector. And there really is not a lot of what I would say indication that this person is a professional in the business.
Yeah, no credentials or experience.
Yeah. And I'm going to say how I would handle it. I would say I would start with something to the effect of, what do you do for a living? Let me hear, like anything. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
And then I'll use my analogies in relation to their current profession, such as, when you make if you're a chef,
Right.
when you're making a meal, there are lots and lots of things that come into that meal. It's not just the ingredients, it's how they were put together. And it's the talent of the contractor, or in this case, a chef, who makes that meal something special. Every home on the market right now has an audience, whether it's that the house needs work or it needs nothing. There's always going to be an audience at every level.
Oh,
so my concern always is that your standard that you're bringing in,
it might be where I'm at.
my thinking
I'm sorry,
is,
it froze up for me.
Okay. My comment is that when someone is judging, especially when they haven't seen all the other homes, this is the tough one. When someone hasn't been out looking with us for all the other homes that we saw, so they don't know that the one we're looking at is the best one that we've seen so far. And that would be where my issue is. I would start with that, saying, I realize you're seeing this for the first time. Perhaps you may want to know what we've also seen, and then offer my client the opportunity to talk. They're the ones that should be talking and saying, why is this the right house?
Right.
Am I wrong?
No, absolutely correct. And if you want, I can give you my example of what happened today, or no. But yes, absolutely. It's all about what they want. In the experience that I had just now, this gentleman was asking some questions, and what I said to him was, because he was asking about price and where I be for that, and that there's a lot that goes into that. I said there's a lot of different things that go into that, and that's something that me and my clients will talk about, today, when they're ready, is what I said. So that's what I did. I try to protect my clients, right? You're not supposed to be talking about stuff like that in front of others. They're not, it is ultimately up to the clients what they want to do. They can certainly have people there, but you need to keep stuff in mind. You can say it so much better than me.
Well, I was just thinking, if someone was really being nosy and saying, well, come on, don't you know what the price is? I'll say, well, they're listed at this price, but the market that we're in is going to dictate what they get the home for. And if they push me still, I would say, well, oh, are you bringing in money?
Oh, that's right. Somebody told me to say that. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Because unless you're showing me the money, you have no, what do they call it? No horse in this race.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hi, I forgot your name, but hi.
Another alternative approach, and I'm just going to say another alternative, is to include this buyer's family in what you see. Like, you're pointing out the good things, but you're also noticing, hey, like he made a comment about the door, whatever door it was, that it's old. I'm like, there's always a nice opportunity to update things once you own it. Wouldn't you agree? That's a tie down.
So one of these days I'm going to be like, I'm going to get that. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to be like, Celeste, I did it. I thought of it. I did it. Dang it. Where
It,
was
it,
that? Oh,
a lot of it is not to argue with that person, but to include them.
yes,
And
yes, yes,
find things you can include them with.
yes.
Say, and if you were to do an improvement, you can even ask, say, what would you say is a good improvement on this home? What would you do? And then let them talk. And I would either agree or I would say to the client, is that something that's important to you?
Yeah.
Because it's not my decision.
Right, it's not ours. I gotta get that into my, into like, right, my Rolodex in my brain and bring it to the forefront when I'm in a conversation.
And I would also add one more thing. You know, when we talk about real estate,
This, and then it would have been in the forefront of my head. That I should have done.
Carrie,
Yeah.
what I was suggesting is that you have to remind people that the purpose of when you buy a home is that you're buying location, location, location. That's the main part of this whole thing. The house may need assistance, but the location is key. And if it's not a good location, then I totally understand why this may not be the home. But otherwise, every home can be improved. That's why when I talk to clients, and I say this, I say, when I talk to clients, I don't think I've ever seen a house that was 100% perfect. Even houses that are brand new, they're not perfect. You make them perfect.
Except that house in Gurnee. That was pretty perfect.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that one was pretty darn well. Oh
That
my
was pretty,
God.
I honestly, I couldn't find anything wrong with it. I mean, it was their taste, but I mean, there is no question you could move into that house and live beautifully just the way it was.
You could eat off the floor.
You could. I mean, it was
Yeah.
really, that was the closest to perfect. I mean, like,
Yeah.
they really did a beautiful job for that open house. Just, I mean,
And I think that's why they picked me, because the way I speak about how I want to lift a buyer's home in the experience, or should I say, lift a seller's home value experience in the eyes of the buyer. I'm speaking to that language of people want to know that people get this house. I've put in all this effort. I've done all this detail stuff. I want someone to pick up on that. If you're the seller, I'm like, I'm I'm magical because that's how I feel. Like I want that person who does the effort to get noticed. And that house, I mean, my God, it was so easy.
I was gonna say they made it very easy for you
Uh-huh.
just to go and put up your feature cards and, that's really and have an open house but I mean, the house was beautiful on its own,
It
you know?
has the kind of tailored styling that's classic.
Yeah, it was timeless. It was just very, like, move-in ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, these conversations about having another person in at the last quarter mile where you've got all this effort that's gone into this, and then someone chooses to have someone make like the command performance to make them feel like they're part of this. I would address that right from the very beginning. And I always do. If I sit down with a buyer and I'm having my meeting with them over Zoom, inevitably, my first thought is there anyone else that needs to be part of this process right now? And they'll go, what do you mean? Well, is there someone that you're looking to give an opinion on this home? If they tell me no, then when it comes to that uncle coming in, I'm going to remind them. I actually believe we had that conversation. Why is this now where you're bringing someone in when you mentioned to me it was just the two of you making this decision?
Yeah.
I have to remind them
Yeah.
because why is that so important? I'll tell them in that first meeting. The reason it's important that I have them here now is so that when we go out and look at homes, they're seeing the ones that we are turning away. They're going to see the ones why we chose not to go with those. And they need to see that in order to understand the one we do finally choose. It's going to be very different from when that guy bought 30, 40 years ago and what he paid versus
Right.
what they're paying now.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I'll say this. When you think about this whole process, if you're not asking that question, this is where it's going to come and bite you. Because they're going to say, well, Mr. Uncle or Joe Uncle, you know, he's very knowledgeable.
Right.
Really?
Well, right. So we just want to make sure that they get what they wanted or needed from that experience and move forward. But just to make sure that we don't, just as a summary is, and don't let any of that become a deal breaker on what that person says. It's totally up to the buyer or buyers if what they are comfortable with, if those things are important or mean anything to them or not, and only go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
1 second for one moment. The letter is from the attorney review. Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay.
So here's what I want to say, because I learned something just this week. Now I've been in this business. You guys all know I've been in it a long time, 35 years. And today or this week, which is only we're sitting on what, Thursday?
Yeah.
I learned something new today. And it was so good that I wrote it up in an email, and I have it, my screen and my face is you guys, and I have this email. And what it was, it's a summary. And here's what I learned. Did you know when you're in the moment of you're giving a seller your valuation, your opinion of what the value is of their home, when you do that, my belief is that you would also be taking the time to run different scenarios to say, RPR says this, Realist says this, my comps say this. So you have a very general but more specific value of what you think the sale or the listing price range might be. So you're walking in thinking, I know, but here's what I learned. Did you know that if you reached out to a lender in advance of meeting your seller, you can ask them if they will give you what the lender believes is the value of the house?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's yes. Because you can do it in the beginning, but you can do it at the end as well if you want to. It's either or, yeah.
Well, so here's why I would suggest that you might want to reach out to the lender first in advance of meeting.
Okay.
Because when you meet with your seller, they may have an idea of what they think their home's value is.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be educated. It's a guesstimate based on who knows what. Most likely it's that they pulled up Zillow and they said, this is what Zillow says. That's what my home's value is. And I can guarantee you there's two things about that. Zillow has not been in their house. So whatever they've done to their home, Zillow has not seen that. Second, when someone says they're using Zillow as a value for their home, I want them to hear that that person who I'm talking to, did you know that the Zillow website actually has a hyperlink embedded at the bottom of their website that goes to a page on the website that then says, oh, and by the way, we are already aware we can be 20 to even 30% off the value that your home is.
I did not know that. That's very interesting.
And I follow that up with, I'm just asking, and this is how I put it. I'm just asking,
Just
would
asking.
you be okay if I was 20 or 30% off?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good question.
Kind of
sure.
makes them realize, wait a minute.
Yeah, because like nobody knows that. So it's kind of like a, that's
I
like a
just,
clue.
I think they need to hear it because you have people that really believe that, well, Zillow is a source. No, Zillow is a
Is it
marketing.
bot? Yeah, it's private.
Yeah,
They
I
sell
mean,
leads.
I think that's a great suggestion because a lender has more credibility, right? And that is a very credible source that you're bringing to the table as you're talking about what the house should be priced at. And
Well, and it's also one more source.
yeah,
And here's why this is of value to me. And this is where it comes up. You have a home that you have on the market, and the follow-up to that is that the home, if it has an offer and it's conventional or FHA or even VA, you know that house is going to have to appraise, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
And if we know in advance what the lender believes the house is worth, your job is to say, as much as I know, I would like to think your home is worth X. We already know the lender has got an opinion, and I'm only playing that card as a kind of a statement to say, are you okay? Because I have to ask that. I'm not telling them to ask, are you okay with putting your home on the market at a number that we may not get? Like we might get the number, we might get it sold at that price. But if you've got to come back with an appraisal, which the buyer may have to have an appraisal, you may not get that number. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to risk putting your home at perhaps a price that may be higher than where the market is?
Yeah.
So how about we talk about what's a good market price for your house? And I'm going to reference, it's not a market price, it's a marketing price. Because that's something I really want them to understand. When I price a home, I don't always expect that that's the sale price ever. Most of my homes are selling 30 to 55,000 over listing price because I market them at the right listing price.
Yep.
Okay, so here's another cool thing.
I'm sorry. I'm having a
that's okay.
my son is about to walk out, and so I put you on mute so I could have a chat.
So this is one of those moments that I want to have your face like this. I want to hold your face in my
I
hands.
know. I need
And then-
I need a few of me. There are times, and just now was one of those times. I apologize.
Well, this one is magical. This topic, this one point I'm about to make. So I also learned, this is not really part two, it's just a second idea, is I did not know this. And again, I cannot get over, I didn't know this. But when you have a buyer and they're buying, and your assumption is, and I listen to that, your assumption is they need to have, they're going to buy a home, they're going to have a mortgage. The assumption is that they also have to have an appraisal. Guess what?
From the mortgage company, right?
Yeah. Why are we not reaching out to the mortgage company and in advance before you make an offer and say, Joe, the lender, can you tell me if this buyer, when they purchase, will they have to have an appraisal? And let them tell you.
Yeah.
And the reason why this is valuable is what if they don't? Why would you not want to add that as part of the offer to say this lender working with my client has indicated that even though they're getting a mortgage, they do not have to have an appraisal.
Yeah, that's a bonus.
That's huge.
Mhm.
Because a lot of buyers right now need a mortgage, and a lot of sellers are like, I don't want to deal with a mortgage and then the appraisal, and then they're going to ask me to
Oh
come
my God.
back. What's wrong?
It's fine. Uh, a Mack truck was coming at me, but we're good. We're good. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I forgot I had that microphone on. I'm sorry.
Okay, no. I just want to make sure you're okay. So those two items I thought were very well worth having a conversation about. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, I mean, when I say that, I really am like, sometimes I'm really freaking, uh, I'm impressed when I learn something. And I think everybody should have that. Why are we not using these kinds
Yeah.
of tidbits?
Yeah, that's a really great tip. Thank you for both. All of those tips are great.
So there's also, I don't know if you guys have been watching them, but you have access to the playlist, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And when you are talking to anybody, you have more wealth of details than most people. And I don't know that you even realize that, because a lot of people don't have a mentor that even records the sessions, let alone gives the kind of tidbits that I think are important.
Great. 100%. For sure.
Absolutely. So let me ask you guys, what have been your challenges?
So I think I'm sorry, my dog is being very needy because of the storm right now. He,
Oh,
he's so scared. It's okay, buddy. So I was having some technical difficulties that kind of set me back a little bit. And I do think I have worked through them. But, in the spirit of you don't know what you don't know, like I didn't have access to KV Core until maybe 5 weeks ago. And I didn't realize that I didn't have everything that I needed. And then the other thing is the Google business page. My page got suspended. And so I think that it was because I switched up the address a couple of times. I wasn't sure what address I was supposed to be using. And so
yeah.
it likely just flagged me. And but I just resubmitted evidence. So I feel like I'm finally making headway, but I feel like the technical stuff kind of set me back a little bit. Um
Let me add to your experience and let you know that if you can find time to go into the EXP world and go to the front welcome desk and
yeah.
tell them what you're going through, and they
Yeah.
will direct you to where you should go.
Yeah, they are super helpful. And I do. I go to the EXP world. But they weren't going to be able to help me with my Google business page. And I have to say, it was so difficult to kind of nail down the reason for the suspension. I mean, I spent a lot of time just trying to figure out why that happened and then what I needed to do about it because I didn't want them to, hold the page any longer than need be. So that was something. And I mean, and then obviously now it's Boldtrail, and it seems very similar to KV Core.
It is.
Yeah. So I think
And
that's
it's just
fine.
things are in new places, which is
Yeah.
kind of just, it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it positively. It's a learning curve.
So, I would say the technical stuff because it's weird because I want to get going. And I'm like, I feel like these things are holding me back a little bit. With that said, I think, I pretty much have the technical difficulties under control and I want to do more open houses. So my biggest challenge, if you will, right now is obtaining new clients. But I
Yeah.
mean, I also need to be out there and networking and doing open houses and, I just being that I have a day job, I wanna call on expired listings, but this is like the time of day that people are eating dinner and when I am available to make phone calls, which doesn't work out so well. So, I really do want to try to carve out time when I'm able to call on expired listings. And I need to figure out like how to carve out time so that I really am dedicating time to obtaining new
Are
clients.
you,
I
what
would,
is your typical schedule?
I mean, honestly, my schedule's been very chaotic because I have an elderly father who's been in the hospital for 3 weeks. Um, and he's not I mean, it'll be another 3 weeks, and so that's balancing that with the fam and my day job. So, I try to spend, like, a really good chunk of time over the weekend
Mhm.
trying to either figure something out if it's broken or looking at the MLS to see what's out there and,
So
so
here's what I'm gonna say. I don't want you to be beating yourself up about
yeah,
not doing more right now.
right.
Let this window of time pass as it will. And then when you're able, when you're free, your schedule is freed up, then concern yourself. If you feel good about continuing, hi Carla.
Hello.
um, keep pushing on the Google business profile because that's not going to be a huge chunk of time. Get
Right.
that resolved if you can.
I- Can I interject something too?
Sure.
Um, I, I know you said your name and I'm driving, so I just didn't
Denise.
remember again. What is it?
Denise.
Denise. Okay. So Denise, I could get your name and your phone number and your email, I can help you to find open houses. Because I know you said you don't have a lot of time and I'm on certain websites all the time to be able to, and groups that where I find the ones that I want to do. So and if you tell me in that information, if you give me the areas you're in, then I will be some second set of eyes for you and look around and put that in.
Oh, thanks, Carrie. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. What I found is that when you do that, then people are starting to get to know you and will call you more often. You know what I mean? So you're building a network actually as well. Doing that, you're getting to know a lot more people. Like, the paths or whatever just stretch a lot farther.
Yes,
Mhm.
and Carla and I had the opportunity to do an open house together, and we've talked about Carla and I actually live very close to one another.
Oh,
So we were thinking we could buddy up on the open houses so that neither one of us needs to be at an open house,
Alone. Yeah, that's
alone.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Um,
think I love that idea, by the way, because the two of you are so new,
Mhm.
even though you're experienced, you're new together. And I think you're going to have, like, you can feed off of each other. One will take one person, one takes the next one. But at this stage, it really is helpful to have someone you can like chat about whatever you learned.
Yeah, support.
There's good stuff.
Yeah.
it's great.
So
And
I'm going to keep going here because we have more stuff to learn.
oh yeah,
Um, so I do want to ask you guys, have you been using or are you aware of the Forewarn app?
the what? I'm sorry.
It's called Forewarn, and you are able to get forewarned. It's an app on your phone through the North Shore Board of Realtors.
What are they warning you about?
People.
It's people.
Rapists, criminals, stalkers,
Oh.
all that stuff. If they're real people, if they live around here, all that good stuff.
Yes, who do you think it
That's
was?
important to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, so it's an app?
It's an app. It
Okay.
goes on your cell phone. And the reason why it's such a powerful thing is because it's with you all the time. And one of the things I'm going to show you, because I'm not sure it's going to show, forewarn is this one right here.
Okay.
It's the top
Looks like
left.
a shield.
Oh yeah, with the shield.
Mhm.
Okay.
And when you open it, this is something I think is very impressive. It immediately is going to ask you to sign in. So you're going to want to remember that your user information, you want it to keep in there. Just always keep it. It should never, like I never have to type it. I just hit this button. It's this red button that says the word submit. It's signing me in as we speak. And the very first screen, that search field says the word phone number. So the person that you're working with probably gave you a phone number, right? But what happens if you didn't get a phone number, you only have somebody's name? Right below this red button is a really tiny hyperlink. And that hyperlink says search by name. So I can search by someone's name, but there's more. If I knew somebody's last name and I knew what town they were in, I could put their town information. Can you read that?
Yes.
So any of that information can apply. And when you do look someone up, I just have to add, what's good is that you should be able to see information about someone. And if they've given you a phone number and it's got 0 results, I want you to kind of be a little bit more on guard, because why do you not have a phone number that's pulling you up? Is that a disposable phone? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Plus, when you do find someone, like you actually pull someone up, it's broken out into sections. The first one would be what phone numbers are associated with that person. And the next one is what addresses are associated with that person. But the most important part is the section that talks about the criminal background that they might have. And if they've got a criminal background, you want to look at how many times have they been charged? What have they been charged with? And if you don't feel that you're safe, I never go anywhere before I look them up.
That's great advice.
And I think I want you guys to start thinking about your spidey senses, as Oprah talked about. You often will know your body is telling you something doesn't smell right.
Yeah.
Listen. All right, so forewarn app, that's one. Second one, are you guys thinking, if I was to ask you, who is your ideal client? I want you guys to write that down, and I want you to start thinking about, who is my ideal client? What do they do for a living? What's their income? Where do they live? Where do they hang out? What clothes do they like to wear? What cars do they buy? You name it. Where are you and where are they? If you want to meet people that are like that, why are you not where they are? And if you can't meet them directly, meet people who know them. Where do they play? Are they on the golf course? Are they playing pickleball? Are they playing tennis? Do they go bowling? I would not be caught dead in a bowling alley unless I was paid. I don't
Church,
bowl. You know what? This is why
Starbucks.
I don't bowl. I have nails. And it's killing my boyfriend because he's like, let's go bowling. I'm like, what?
I actually used to be on a league with my sister and a couple of my cousins, and we were by far the worst in the league, but it was such a fun night out.
I'm sure it is. And
Yeah.
by the way, I don't have a problem going to a bowling alley. I just don't want someone thinking I like to bowl, because I don't. It's not going to happen. I'll go like this. Okay. The next thing I want you to think about, there is various levels of coaching. Where you guys are at, there is coaching that's available custom for you. And I'm going to tell you where I would recommend that you go. I want you to know that there is a service that EX offers. It's called Fastcap.
I
If
can't,
you haven't,
I can't
Can you hear
really
me?
hear you.
Yeah, you broke up a little bit.
oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. So EXP has classes that are available to you. And I believe the next class for Fastcap is not going to be starting until sometime in October. And I
Wow.
could be wrong with that. But what I want you guys to do is this is independent research, is I want you to learn when is the next Fastcap happening? And where do you think you should go to learn that?
Somewhere on EXP.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
EXP World, maybe?
Yes. If you ever have that question asked to you, you don't know what you're doing, go to the EXP World. That's the easy answer, because somebody there is going to know. If you go to the welcome desk, they're going to say probably go to your US broker room. So you're going to go to the US broker room for the state of Illinois. You're going to get a tag. You're going to get like a ticket. And you're going to say, yeah, I have a question. It's either a broker question or maybe a general question. You decide and you pick which one you are. And then there's going to be a little clock that ticks, not ticks, but it's going to count. How close are you to being the next one in line? Okay. If you are running into challenges when you go into the EXP world, such as that your mouse won't let you move forward or side to side, what's happening is you have too many cookies on your own computer. And my recommendation is on your computer, when you're on your regular screen, not like you're in someplace like this, but when you're on your regular screen, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see 3 dots. You're going to click on that and you're going to go down to the one that says incognito, so that you're not adding more to the seat. And that you can even ask them, how do I get rid of this glitch? And they'll find somebody that teaches you how to do it. In other words, they'll help you remove your cookies from your cache. Okay, so far so good. You're gonna, what are we doing? We're gonna go find coaching called Fastcap. And I will also add, because as long as we're talking about Fastcap, we should also talk about the fact that there is a group called Fast Attract. So as you grow in your business, that would be another place that you're going to want to sign up. Both of these are free. You don't pay anything for them, but you do have to commit. If you sign up, you have to be at every session. Okay. So then those are 2 sessions where you can get training. There is also training available. It used to be called KV Core. Now it's called Boldtrail. Same system, just looks different. There are videos on your main page of your KV Core / Boldtrail. And what I want you to know is, how do you know that you're on your main page? I want you to realize that when you land, if you're not sure, I want you to remember that in the upper left-hand corner of your screen is an EXP logo. And if you click on the EXP logo, it's going to force your laptop to go to the main page. And on the main page, all the way on the right-hand side, are videos that'll teach you all that you want to know about Boldtrail. And those are on demand. And each video is so easy. You just maybe 4 or 5 minutes. You watch it, and then they'll have a little mini quiz, and then you advance to the next one. So far,
Celeste, what about the other CRMs? Because there was one other one, I can't remember the name of it, that I'd rather do over KV Core.
Follow Up Boss.
No.
Okay. What's the other one? Can't
Um,
remember. I have it written down somewhere.
Yeah,
but
I do
don't
too,
remember.
and it's not at my desk.
So I would tell you this, if you want to use another one, just before you make that commitment, I recommend that you go and ask at the EXP welcome desk for the names of the three. You're going to discover the one that you're interested in, and you're going to say, where can I get some training or video training to learn about what's available in that one? And they'll
Okay.
tell you.
Okay.
They have heard it all.
Yeah.
And especially right now, there's a lot of people that are probably most likely visiting the welcome desk for that very reason.
Right.
Okay, so now I'm going to continue. So this Fastcap and Fast Attract has a software that they use to help you track your production. Did you guys know this? I know Carrie does.
I mean, I haven't used it, but I knew about it. I've watched a bunch of videos, so I
Mhm.
knew of it. But
So it's a management software that's called Sisu. It's spelled SISU, and I believe it's .com. Sisu.com. And it's got an orange logo. There are other companies out there that have Sisu as a name. So I just want you to know it's the one that is a real estate tracking software. And why is this significant? Well, because when you guys take your Fastcap training, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea for you to take time in advance and just go in, play around, go on YouTube even. YouTube has great videos all about learning how to use Sisu. I would highly recommend. That would be one place I would go before I started Fastcap, because when Fastcap starts, it goes really fast. Like you're probably going 3 times a week. So it's hot. And the other thing I heard is that they're going to have ones at night.
That would be great.
That would be really great, because
Mhm.
I think you guys know yeah, I know you, Carla, I know you have experience, but it sure doesn't hurt to regroup and say, I'm an open book.
Oh, I
I'm not
agree.
coming with judgment. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna learn. That's what I recommend.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend. Okay, so I have more stuff. Defining the room. Interview me. So you have people who are going to be asking you, Denise, tell me, what do you do for a living? Do you know your elevator pitch? And here's how I'm going to ask you to know. If you don't have an elevator pitch, start with something as simple as go to ChatGPT and describe who you are, what's your background, and ask it to create an elevator pitch. Start with that. I mean, it's a start. Doesn't mean it's the end. It's just a start to give you something that you could give someone a quick overview of. I am a realtor. I specialize in this. I love whatever, give something extra and say, how do you close out that conversation? Because you've probably been with someone that you ask them, what do they do for a living? And they never stopped talking. They just kept going. That's not an elevator pitch. I don't know what that's called, but that's not an elevator pitch. An elevator pitch should be done in within around 30 seconds. Hi, I'm Celeste. I work for a realtor, a real estate office called EXP Realty. I've been in the business for 35 years, specializing in residential real estate, and I have wonderful awards. How can I help you? I mean, that's a really lousy pitch, but it's something. And it didn't go on for 5 minutes.
Right.
The other part of this presentation that I'm talking to you about is know your elevator pitch, and then also know 3 great questions that you can turn the conversation around and let them shine. Because they're going to think you're super interesting if you let them talk.
so what are some examples of, questions that you might ask to turn it back around to make them feel like superstars?
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
What do you think would be a good question to ask?
So I've just explained who I am and what I do. I might say, and how about you, Celeste? What do you do?
You could you be more specific?
Um, could I be more specific? What do you like to do for fun?
Well, if we were at the level where I was telling you about my career and I
Right.
didn't know who
Say,
you
what do you do
were, I
for
might
work?
say, what do you do for a living? And then once they finish that, say, how long have you been doing it? And do you love what you do? Or, are you staying in this industry? I mean, like, I don't care. Let's keep talking. I'm learning. I'm getting to know you. And do you notice anything that you might have in common? Anything?
hmm
What do you think might be something you might have in common?
Um, with you or with the person
Yeah,
that
the person you're talking to.
maybe we're both in um maybe we both live in the same community.
That's where I was going with this. Maybe, just maybe, you're both in the same neighborhood, same area. You're doing something that's similar, so you can have that conversation. Maybe it's something about what you're doing, such as you're at the pool and you have this conversation with someone that's at the next chaise. So you can talk about the sunscreen you're wearing. What are you wearing? Do you like that product? You're getting in relation with them. And again, you're letting them talk. It's so key. We want to talk because we love to talk. We have to learn, how do you ask good questions? And the one thing I don't want you guys to do, which I know it's going to sound crazy, but at this stage in your business, I never want you to ask the question, why? Think about it. When you ask the question, why, you're putting somebody in a position of, why? Like, why would you do that? How does that feel?
Yeah, we've talked about this. It's off-putting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not necessary. You could even say the question of, if instead of saying why, say, how are you, how did you decide that? It's like it's similar, but it's not. It's like, where are you coming from? I'm curious. I'm staying in curiosity. I'm not asking you, what the hell were you thinking? Why are you doing that? That isn't what you're doing. You're trying to create a relationship by listening, and instead of the word why, find another word. It just it's a poor choice until you know, and this is the key, until you actually know how to use the word why. And here's why I'm bringing it up this way. We have a book that we read in our book club mastermind that's called Exactly What to Say in Real Estate. And I know I've told you guys about that book. My wonder is, have you gotten the book?
Yes, and I have a paperback copy and I have it on audio.
Yay!
Yeah, and I've started listening to it. It is you get through it pretty quickly, but I've already, because I'm kind of listening and doing at the same time, I've already gone back and like started it over, and so I think I'm just on like chapter 4, but I'm
So
loving it.
if you have the opportunity, and this is just a proposal, if you really like the book to the understanding of, by choosing phrases that help set a tone of understanding with the person you're speaking to, I want you guys to all of you know that on Wednesday mornings at 8:30 in the morning to 9 o'clock in the morning, so it's just a half an hour, we have a mastermind that is going over this book and those scripts. And
Yeah, she's great too.
she's fantastic. Her name is Shara Parker. So SHARA
ARA.
Parker. And her husband is Mark with not the same last name. These two
time?
are so good at script practice, more than anyone I've ever seen, that I feel like I'm the flunky. I'm the flunky in the room.
That's how I felt too.
Celeste,
What was that?
what time is it?
8:30 in the morning to 9 o'clock in the morning on Wednesdays only. It's
Can you
only
send
Wed-
us the, I'm sorry, can you send us the link, please?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be happy to. And by the way, guys, I'm an open book. You know that, right? If you ever need anything, I'm here.
Thank you.
Bless.
Yeah, I'm gonna need it sooner than later, I think.
All right, so I found it and I'm going to, let's see, I gotta get in my thing here. Carla, and I've got Denise and I have Carrie, and I'm going to just forward this to you next week, which is the week of the 4th of July. We're not gonna have a script practice. So even though it's coming up, Wednesday is a day that it's the day before, well,
Or,
it's 2 weeks
oh, they're probably going to be somewhere, hey?
they just decided, everybody's busy. We're all
Right.
doing stuff.
Yeah.
Grace is a beautiful thing when people say,
That's
and we're not going to have it this way. I'm like, yes, because I have been so freaking busy and I don't want to sound like it's just me, but it's really been a wild couple weeks. Lots of stuff's been going on. And I am taking off, well, like basically from Thursday or maybe Wednesday even. So Wednesday all the way through till maybe Monday or Tuesday the following week. And it's because my son's birthday is the 4th of July and I'm doing some special stuff with him.
Fun.
Fun.
I should tell you, I'm kind of excited about this. He knows, but I'm taking him on a sunset cruise with his girlfriend and my boyfriend on Saturday night, the 5th, downtown.
That'll be fun.
How nice.
Have you guys been on the sunset cruise ever?
Mhm.
Can I just tell you, if you haven't gone, I highly recommend it. One of my best experiences in Chicago was being invited on a cruise by a lender, not realizing that the cruise was not the only thing that we were doing. They had a DJ, they had drinks, and then at 10 o'clock, the boat, big boat, kind of made its way to the entrance of the Chicago River. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, why are we stopping? I had no clue. And then magically, fireworks just were off right in front of me. And I was like, this is so romantic. So 2 years ago, not Jamie, Dennis, oh my God. Dennis and I went on one of the cruises and we went all the way out onto the Lake Michigan area and looked back at the city. So that was cool. That was so amazing. But this time I have no idea where we're going to go. It's a Wendella Sunset Cruise. That's what they call it. So
Oh, I love the Wendella.
yeah, I do too. I think they do a great job.
They do a really good job. It's so fun just to know about things like that too. Like when we have friends come in town or I love the architectural tour as well. Cause to your point,
I've done that too.
the view of the skyline is so amazing. It's the best view
Yes.
of
We're
this.
so fortunate.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Okay, so I have some more tidbits and we're at 6 minutes to 8, so I'm going to make them super quick.
Okay.
When you are picking people to work with, you need to know it is your threshold of bullshit that you get to decide if you're going to work with someone or not. It's no one else's decision. If your personality doesn't work with their personality, or you feel you're not getting the straight scoop from someone, it's okay to say goodbye. And I've learned a script. I want you guys to just listen to the script and choose wisely when you use it. The script is when you finally get that decision in your head, like, I don't want to work with these people at all. I say, when I call them, I thought I would share with you that I don't believe I can meet or exceed your expectations. So I think it would be fine for us to part ways. And guess what happens? They're in shock
Yeah.
because
Like
they
it's-
don't realize what they are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they don't want to leave you. They want you. And I'm like,
Sometimes, yeah, for sure.
in 35 years, I've done that once. Once. I couldn't handle. It wasn't that I couldn't handle her. I didn't want to handle her. I
Mhm.
was really not liking how she was as a person. And I was happy as can be until I got off the phone. So that's something to know. And the reason I bring that up is just the phrase that I have written down, which is remember to say no to the wrong ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the next one is kind of in the same genre, which by the way, whoever says that word. The mindset is, okay, I'm going to read it because I keep going away from it. What are your standards for working with clients? And I'm going to give you an idea. There is a book that's called Ninja Selling. And I'm going to give
Great
you
book.
my version of the summary of this. When you speak to people and they talk to you and you say, what are your goals for your business? People will say, well, I want to sell this many homes and I want to make this much money. And it's very general. And I get that because when you're not sure what your numbers look like, you can say whatever you want to say. It sounds good, but it's not really based in anything. But standards need to be real. And what does that mean? Are you one of those agents that will take the data, put it on the MLS, not finish all the data, and make the listing go live with crappy pictures and a crappy description? I mean, I don't know how many of you have seen when you have an agent who's given a 2-line description of a house. Have you ever seen one of those? I mean, I ask myself, that's malpractice. That's not okay. And the reason why is because that agent does not have standards. So what are my standards? What are your standards? Do you know what your standards are? And if you can't define them, this is a mindset that we need to start talking about, such as when you do this, what else do you do? When you do this, what else do you do? And notice how I'm not giving you answers, but I'm going to give you an example. An example could be when I do an open house, how do I prepare for that open house? Am I preparing for the open house that day? Or am I preparing for that open house 2 weeks from the open house, 2 weeks ahead of time, 1 week ahead of time? How am I communicating with my client? How am I communicating with the world? How can I communicate better? All of these levels of things you should be thinking about. That's the example of where are your standards. And that's another example I will tell you. If you don't have it, I recommend that you get the MREA book, which is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
I
That
have it
book-
if anyone needs it.
Yeah, I have a copy, but
Yeah, she
I
does
think
too.
it's worthy of getting one of your own. And when I say how important this is, that book was written by Gary Keller and a lot of huge agents many years ago. And they were interviewing all these agents for all those things that they do prior to doing, an example was an open house. There's a chapter in the book, how to do a 7-level open house. I never even knew that would be such a thing. But here's the thing, I didn't realize, but I'm doing most of them because I have very high standards. My standards are, if I was the client, this is what I want my agent to do. So when I speak, and I'm going to share this with you guys because you hear me all the time. When I speak to my client, they know with authority that I'm doing this. They don't even have to ask me the details. They know I'm doing it. because that's my standard. And it comes out in everything I do. So I got this mindset to have that conversation with you guys, that I'd like you guys to start thinking of things you do for your business. Put them on a Post-it note, stick them on the wall. Then I want you to take each of them and say, what are my standards? How do I plus the experience that makes me just be better, be the better agent? Everything you do, you can plus everything. So that's a mindset that I think every one of us should be thinking about. And then I want you also to remember, I am so into this idea of going on Google and having a search done. What are people asking in my town about real estate? And you answer those questions in a video. You say the question, say, one of the frequently asked questions I get is this, whatever it might be. And here's a great way, you know, I'm sharing my experience. This is how I would answer that. And you could have a ChatGPT description written up on how to answer that question. And then post it. And when you're posting, remember, if you can do a video less than a minute, you can be posting that on Instagram. If it's anything longer than that, I want you to remember that we really need to get those videos posted on your YouTube channel so the world can see them. And of course, you guys, if you don't have a YouTube channel, I get it. We're going to get you there. Okay. So we are past 8 o'clock. Of course, I took my glasses off. I can't see anything. Do you guys feel like you got something from tonight?
Yes, that was great. Thank you.
Okay.
Of course.
Do you have any questions?
Not at the moment.
No, but between my tenant and my buyers, I'll probably talk to you a lot. I hope you don't get so hate me by the end of the weekend.
All right. Well, Carrie, I do feel like, you know, if you need to reach out to me, let me know. But I also want to see if we can wrap up our conversation tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Yeah, we'll get that.
Excellent.
He just sent it. Literally, it just dinged. It's right here.
Yay.
Yeah.
So here's what I want you guys to know. Next week, I am not doing a session. And I'll put a little email out to everybody so that they know we're not doing anything next week. So 2 weeks from now, we're going to do another session. Cool?
Cool.
2
Okay.
weeks.
And
Yeah.
I'm so happy for all of you guys. I want you guys to get in there and get your feet wet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Yay.
Thanks.
I'm going to stop our recording.